Since cruising shut down in March, we've seen some crazy things happen. Things we thought we would never see have happened repeatedly now during this cruise shutdown. With so much happening during this whole global cruise suspension, we've all had to adapt to these changes. And in fact, I have found some new strategies that have worked well, along with reminders of the importance of some other tried and true cruise advice. And I want to share with you guys my top 5 lessons that the current cruise shutdown have taught me since this all began, so that you guys can benefit from this great advice. Hey, thanks for watching this video, checking it out. I have learned so many different things about really how to book and plan cruises as a result of this global cruise shutdown. So many things have changed, and I wanted to really share with you guys the lessons I've learned, some of the new strategies, as well as, again, what I'm just reminded of, yeah, that's a really good idea in this video. I'm going to start off with the importance of booking refundable cruise deposit. When Royal Caribbean cancels cruises or changes itineraries or even changes ships out, quite frankly, which has happened already, the result has been people are put in a situation where their plans have changed for them and they have some options on the table. Now, some people are okay with, rebooking for a cruise maybe next year or taking a future cruise credit, but some people are very, very much focused on getting a refund, a cash refund. And while Royal Caribbean is very flexible with some of their terms of being able to offer refunds, if you want to get a refund for a cruise before Royal Caribbean cancels it, there's a really big importance to have a refundable cruise fare. So one lesson off the bat, if you're going to book a cruise, be sure to book a refundable cruise fare. In situations where you're before final payment, and something has changed, whether it's just your own feelings about the cruise, whether it's Royal Caribbean changing the itinerary, regardless, before Royal Caribbean cancels the cruise on you, if you want to cancel, you may incur, change fees, penalties, or other issues that are going to be, in the way of getting your money back. So what you want to have is refundable cruise fare. Now, refundable cruise fare doesn't cost a whole lot more than non-refundable cruise fare. Oftentimes, it's only maybe $100 to $200 more compared to a non-refundable cruise fare, but the flexibility it provides in this day and age of just unknowns and things changing all the time are a great example of that. And I'm going to point to a story that recently came out in which Allure of the Seas was delayed going to Galveston. She was supposed to arrive in Galveston, and then they delayed it by a year. And the result was Royal Caribbean said, no worries, anybody who had Allure of the Seas booked is now going to have a cruise on a different ship. And while that's fine and dandy, some people don't want that. And in that situation, initially, Royal Caribbean did not offer an option to get a full refund, just options to, get cruise credits and whatnot. But if you had a refundable cruise deposit, you could have taken advantage of that. Now, while that's not always the norm, and it's still kind of the outlier situation, it did happen. Get refundable cruise fare. I think that is a really important step for anybody booking a cruise going forward. It's something I've always done, but I think it's now especially important to have refundable cruise fare. Next up is something that's kind of interesting because travel insurance is something that a lot of people think is important, but travel insurance does not help much if the cruise never happens. An investment in travel insurance is usually a good idea. No one really ever faults you for buying travel insurance other than maybe the idea that you're spending money that you may not actually ever use, but hey, better to have peace of mind, right? And while it may seem like trip interruption coverage would apply for scenarios when cruises are canceled, nearly every insurance company does not cover pandemics as part of their policy. I think many of us were hoping early on that travel insurance might cover non-refundable purchases associated with the trip, but that's just simply not the case. Luckily, a lot of travel providers and insurance companies are kind of giving a waiver for COVID-19, but in the interim, you should know that if you're buying travel insurance, it's really for if the cruise goes off and you're on board the ship, not covering every possibility, especially in these days of cruises being canceled considerably. Next up is something you've probably heard 1,000 times if you've watched my videos or read RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and it's something that I believe in so firmly, and you know what? This cruise shutdown has really made it important. A good travel agent is invaluable. I've always been a proponent of using a good travel agent for years because they just make your life a whole lot easier in my opinion. But these rounds and rounds of cruise cancellations have exacerbated the need for a good agent like never before. All too often, I will see people posting on social media upset because they're waiting for refunds, they can't get answers about their canceled cruises, they want to change things, errors in reimbursement, future cruise credits, and so many more, specific personal issues. And in those kind of scenarios, they are stuck either because they booked it on their own, and so they're the ones who have to call Royal Caribbean, they're the ones who have to sit on hold, and they're the ones who have to play phone tag back and forth to get an answer, or, arguably even worse, they booked with not a good travel agent, they booked it through some random website or some conglomerate agency that deals with, millions, and the personalized nature of it simply isn't there. And those of us that have worked with travel agents generally had an easier time with all this because the agents are working tirelessly on our behalf. Travel agents have been among the most hard hit during the pandemic because they only get paid commission on trips that you actually take. So as a result, a lot of the cases, they're not getting paid. Luckily, Royal Caribbean and some other companies are still protecting travel agent commissions, but let's put it this way. Travel agents are hurting, but the good ones are standing by their clients and making sure that they're taking care of them during all of this. So while the old argument against using a travel agent is I prefer to manage it myself may have been fine in the past, those managing themselves now are dealing with relentless hold times and quite frankly a lot of changing policies that they've got to juggle all on their own. Do yourself a favor, get a good travel agent. Something else I've learned about when it comes to canceled cruises, especially if you see cancellations coming, is to cancel your cruise planner purchases early. One strategy that seems to work for getting your money back a little bit faster than anybody else is to cancel your pre-cruise planner purchases before the sailing gets officially canceled in Royal Caribbean system. Usually there's about a few hours or more in between when Royal Caribbean announces that sailings are going to be canceled and when they're actually canceled in Royal Caribbean system. It seems if you can get those cruise planner website cancellations in before Royal Caribbean cancel them, we're talking about things like drink packages, shore excursions, spa appointments, Wi-Fi, etc., your refunds seem to be processed sooner. This is more anecdotal than scientific, I'll definitely give you that, but something to keep in mind going forward, especially if you have a cruise that's coming up and it ends up being canceled. Jump on it for maybe quicker refunds. And the fifth lesson I'd like to share about cruising in today's world is that actually cruise sales are kind of legit now. If you call it a silver lining, but with everything going on right now, Royal Caribbean's latest rounds of sales, whether they're for cruise fares or maybe pre-cruise purchases, are actually netting significant saving. Before the current cruise shutdown, there would be sales all the time, and how much they would actually save you or just be no different would be an argument that a lot of people would have online. But it was really more hit or miss in terms of savings. Nowadays, though, it really does seem like you can get some excellent deals out there by booking new cruises. And listen, it makes sense, right? What does Royal Caribbean not have right now? A whole lot of revenue coming in. So Royal Caribbean is looking to spur those bookings, and the best way to do it is to actually offer significant savings for certain specific sailings, right? Not everybody out there, but I'm generally seeing a lot more positive comments about people who are seeing better prices and thus savings on cruises they already have booked, or maybe an opportunity for them to book a new cruise that's out there. Keep an eye out for discounts going forward, especially for anything remaining in 2020. There seems to be changing prices constantly, and quite frankly, some impressive savings. And I also have one more thing this year. I know this is a top 5, but hey, you can yell at me in the comments for false advertising. But there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, which is refunds. And it's hard not to talk about refunds because, listen, it is the topic. And unfortunately, refunds have been taking way too long. Everybody believes that. The consumers and even Royal Caribbean recognize the time it's been taking to get refunds processed as well as future cruise credits just simply too long. And, Royal Caribbean has admitted to these delays, and I'm not going to sit here and defend it. It is inexcusable, but it is getting better. And I will say that in my experience, and I've gotten my fair share of refunds here from the beginning through even today, and I will tell you that they are flowing a whole lot better. But I will tell you this, when it comes to refunds, number one, something we talked about earlier, the value of a good travel agent is incomparable because it's made my life so much easier. In reading so many other people's experiences on the Royal Caribbean blog message boards, I will tell you that there is a clear divide between people who have good travel agents and have had easy times of it, and people who don't have good travel agents or no travel agents at all and have been dealing with these kind of horror stories that are out there. So, even with a good travel agent, refunds are not processed any quicker. However, they are getting processed, and yes, sometimes incorrectly, but the money is flowing out there. The lesson about cruise refunds is it will take arguably longer than it should to be received, but it is happening. And Royal Caribbean has brought back more employees to tackle this issue. And again, anecdotally, I am seeing way more progress on that front. So patience has gone from a virtue to a repeating mantra, but the money does show up. So there you go. There are my top 5 plus 1 lessons learned during all these canceled cruises. I hope that this helps you going forward with maybe being more prepared for if a cruise is canceled and how to tackle new bookings as well. I would love to know, what lessons have you learned? What are some of the new things that you employ when you're booking cruises, looking for a refund, or generally navigating the current state of affairs as it relates to cruising? Share it in the comments below. And by the way, while you're below this video, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, subscribe, hit that notification bell, so that way YouTube lets you know that I have a brand new video out for you. And of course, hit that like button. Yeah, give me that thumbs up. It'll make my mom feel better about the videos I'm making over here. She's like, why, Matt? Why can't you get more likes? I don't know, Mom. It's not a big deal. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.